Greetings, ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to some more of my own ace chasing antics. We're here in the Chinese Tier 4 light tank, the M5A1 Stuart. Now, this is of course it's a Chinese copy of the American Stuart tank, but in the game, whereas the American Stuart had its adorable little howitzer removed and got given that horrendous, terrible little auto-loading gun, this thing still has its 47mm gun, which in terms of performance actually has quite a lot in common with the British 2-pounders. 70 damage per shot, 81 penetration with armor piercing, and if you want to load a bit of APCR, that pen goes up to 130. So that APCR can be useful for dealing with the likes of, well, KV-1s, for example. Now, this is a Tier 5 game, and we're here on the highway map, and I'm just initially trying to do a little bit of spotting, spot out a Panzer 1C. So probably worth pointing out that this is of course a Tier 4 light tank, which means it gets Tier 4 light scout matchmaking. So it can see Tier 7 games, but it can also be top tier. It's not quite as brutal as Tier 5 and above scout matchmaking, but this is only a Tier 5 game, so this is just kind of the regular, if you will, matchmaking spread for a Tier 4 machine. This is just middle of that road matchmaking. Trying to see if I can get a shot off on the Panzer 1C, but no dice. And in this sort of matchmaking, a Tier 4 light tank is perfectly capable of performing reasonably well. So we found a whole load of, well, firstly artillery and then some Tier 5 heavies. Now, you can see the aiming time on this gun is not fantastic, but then if I'm honest, I don't think I was actually using, I don't think I had a particularly great crew at the time when I played this. Well, there we go. There's a blind kill on the Su-26 artillery piece, which is quite nice to pick up. And we saw a whole load of Tier 5 heavies there. T1 Heavy has pretty terrible side armor, so our gun can quite happily go into that. The Excelsior also has pretty terrible side armor. There we go. Whoa, artillery's trying to nail me. We bounced that shot somehow. That's a bit better. And then the duck tank comes and gets in the way and decides it wants to shoot me, which is bad. So, just backing off, hoping that one of my allies can shoot the duck tank. You may laugh at the fact that I'm retreating from an AMX-40, but that thing, if it's a higher tier than you, equal or higher tier, is actually potentially a very considerable threat. It has very respectable armor, and a gun that, if it can penetrate you, actually does a fairly decent amount of damage. I mean, a 75mm gun on a Tier 4 machine, it's not too shabby. The main problem you find with that tank is if you are up against higher tier opponents. So, side of the T1 Heavy, that shot just misses. There we go. When we can hit him, we can usually penetrate his side armor. One more to finish that guy off. And there we go, there's kill number 2. And we get really rather lucky there, bouncing a shot from someone. So the scoreline is 4-2. Ooh, that Churchill just took some pain. 4-2 as I say. Oh no, 4-4, never mind. We're just going to try and get some more shots on people. Excelsior. Bounced. If we can aim this shot properly, and if we've still got shots on his side. Never mind. It's only about 30mm of side armor, but the Excelsior's side armor can be a little misleading because it does get, I think, another 10mm of spaced armor over that, and then of course you have the tracks on top of all that. So actually, the Excelsior's side armor is quite weak, but it can actually be not as weak as you expect. And here you can see me loading some APCR. 130 pen, because 81 pen is really going to struggle to penetrate a KV-1 from pretty much any sort of range and pretty much any sort of angle, and you'd really have to be aiming those shots carefully. And we switch back to armor piercing for the Stuart, and I really don't want to be sitting there and aiming my shots carefully at a KV-1. So hopefully that shot hit the enemy M5A1 Stuart, the enemy Chinese Stuart. And we're just going to re-engage here. One of the nice things about the Stuart that you can see me using throughout these engagements, ooh, our lead just got wrecked, is the fairly nice gun depression that this tank gets. So the aiming stats on the gun aren't fantastic, but you can use this tank rather like a kind of traditional light or medium tank, sort of gun depression based tank, popping yourself up over the ridge lines, getting shots into people. Your gun doesn't hit particularly hard, but you are only a light tank, so that shouldn't come as a massive surprise. One or possibly, well, probably two more shots to finish off the KV-1. And you can see me switching ammo types a couple of times there, but with the reload on this tank you can do that. Someone else hits first, and I managed to put in the killing blow on that chap. Back to the arm piercing, and there's the M5 Stuart, but that was a very tight shot. It was very unlikely to actually do anything. Stuart makes a mistake. Not quite sure why he did that, but never mind, there's kill number 4. And now it's just 2 artillery pieces, a Marder 2 and a Crusader. Now I say just, whoo-hoo, not today, artillery. I say just, but those things of course are perfectly capable of wrecking my face. 2 shots from the Marder and maybe, what, 3 shots from the Crusader would finish me off, and they're capable of putting those out in pretty short order. And of course a single round from the artillery is perfectly capable of killing me, but that was the case even when I was on full health, so let's not worry ourselves too much about that. We know where the Crusader is. The Crusader is over by the town, dealing with our higher tier heavy tanks. The Marder is also over there, and so it's at this point that I realise, well, I only have artillery to deal with. Speaking of the devil, there's 1 shot, 2, he's gone off too early, 3, and 4 as someone picks up the Marder. So that just leaves the Crusader dealing with our KV-1. It doesn't mean that the Crusader's going to lose that fight, but the Crusader lost that fight. And then the M37 and the T67 is trying to get in here to steal my thunder. Screw you, mate, screw you. Not only is there a Top Gun medal on the line, there is also a Pascucci's medal for killing 3 artillery pieces. So, the M37 is looking at me, the T67 puts 1 shot in, and we execute the artillery to pick up both the Top Gun, the Pascucci's, and of course, to polish the game off. So let's go and have a look at the results for that one. Here we go then. We got Ace Tanker, duh, Fire for Effect, Spotter, Master Gunner, and of course the Top Gun and the Pascucci's medal. I was actually more happy to get the Pascucci's than the Top Gun, but there we go. What you gonna do? 1,208 damage done, which is actually not bad when you consider that gun only does 70 average damage per shot. 6 kills, of course, 1,181 base experience, which for a tier 4 tank is none too shabby. And when you look at the XP or damage scores of either team, the only guy who came close in terms of damage was the Matilda 4, although the Lefefefefefefefe also managed over 1,000 damage. 1,181 base XP, though, was quite a good shot ahead of what anyone else achieved. 29 shots fired, 23 hits, 20 pens for that 1,208 damage, most of which was from relatively close range. We weren't exactly sniping. We received 4 hits, of which only 1 penetrated, which was kinda lucky. I think some of those might have been from like an autocannon or something. Possibly a couple of hits there from the Panzer 1C, because we only actually blocked 16 damage with our armour, so I think that was a light autocannon or something. Spotted 6 enemy tanks, damaged 6, destroyed 6. 666, make of that what you will. And 1,161 damage caused with our assistance, travelling 2.66 kilometres. We fired about 5 rounds of APCR, so our ammo costs were almost 9,000 credits, which for a tier 4 is quite a lot. But even with a regular account, we'd have made a 13,500 credit profit. We had a premium account at the time, so that was a 25,000 credit profit. And with the ×2 for the first win of the day, we made 2.5, well, we would have made 2,500 XP with a regular account. We actually made almost 4,000 XP with the premium account. There you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that little outing in the M5A1 Stuart. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.